I understand, you got your start mainly with iPhone restoration.
Yep.
Tell me about how that started.
Okay, so originally I had an iPhone 6 and I had a bunch of problems with my phone and I didn't really know what to do. Like I didn't have the money to pay to have it fixed. So I got creative and I decided to order the parts online and then watch YouTube videos. And I remember doing on Haley's parents' little coffee table. It was like this big and there was parts like scattered over the whole thing and it was a huge mess. So I spent 3 hours on it, and then I turned it on, and I was all excited because I was like, okay, I fixed it. Yes, all the parts are in there and everything. Well, I turned it on, and I had these lines running through my screen that weren't there originally. So I'm like, oh, crap, what do I do? So I flipped out for like 15 minutes, came back, and just realized I didn't push the cables in hard enough, and it was fixed. So I was like, oh, sweet, it's fixed. This is awesome. Like, I saved myself so much money by learning how to do it myself. So from there, I was already doing some e-commerce businesses to where like I would drop ship or like internet marketing stuff, a bunch of different, I tried all these different things kind of out of high school. And so I was like, well, maybe I can start marketing this on Facebook, like put on Facebook Marketplace and do ads and stuff and see if I can get other people that need their phone fixed and I can fix it for them. So I did that for about 9 months. And along the way, I met my now business partner, Brian. And so I really liked him because whenever I would meet with him, he would sell me a phone really cheap. I'd turn around and sell it for $100 profit. And then so he would make money. I think he'd make $30 to $50 or something like that. And then I'd make a pretty large profit because he just liked to turn phones fast. So we just kept doing business like that for a while. And he was out of the Carthage area. So I drive up there all the time to get them from him. And then we were like, hey, I really want to start a store. And he kind of wanted to as well. And so originally we thought, since he was in the Carthage area and Joplin is a bigger market, we're like, well, we'll try to start a store in Joplin. So whenever we went to look for places to rent, it was like $1,500 was like the cheapest place we could find. And it drove me crazy because we're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford this. Like $1,500 a month, that's a lot. So I think it was a God thing ultimately because we ended up deciding to start a store in Monette. The rent was $400 a month, and luckily she didn't charge us a security deposit, so we were only out the $400. And then from there, to begin with, me and Brian, between the two of us, we only had $800. So we started with pretty much nothing, and then I had $300 worth of parts myself. So what we did is we went ahead and put the paid rent, the $400, and then me and Haley would paint the whole store ourselves. We would go to school, go to work, and then we would, around 6 p.m., we'd go to the store every night and paint until like 12 or 1 a.m., and then repeat the same thing every day for a couple weeks until the store was finished. And then we found there was a really nice desk that was like, it was made of like stainless steel, and there was a business that had gone out in Springfield, so we bought the thing for like $90. And originally, I think they used it as some type of like countertop,
a restaurant business or something like that. So we just flipped it over and
we turned it on its like side and then cut out a piece, and it made it into our front desk, and it turned out really nice, and we were able to get it for $90, which is awesome. So and then the rest of the money, I think we bought a few chairs, and then we were basically up and running. And so after that, we were open. What I remember is that we were open for around a month. And then I approached Haley. I'm like, hey, if you want, you can invest. Like we could use the money that you have saved, which was around $2,000 at the time, to invest in this and to, look more professional, get more organized, and buy more parts and stuff. And I remember her saying like, yeah, I'll do that or whatever.
No, this is not how it
went down. But this is how she remembers it.
This is his version. So this is what actually happened. So I was at work one day, and then Jason had the day off. So he was going and he was, trying to make the store thing happen. And for whatever reason, his name was on my bank account. So he could go in and I just remember checking my bank account one day, and there was like $2,000 in there or something like that. And it was all gone. And I'm like, and he's like, look, Haley, he's like, I bought a store. And I was like, where'd you get the money for it? And then I later checked, and then I realized I didn't have any money, and so he used all my money as we were just dating. That's what actually happened, but he doesn't actually like to tell that story. Like that. Yeah, his version is completely different.
Okay. So When you saw that and you found out who used it, what were you thinking next? What happened next?
I don't know. I'm not really I don't know how to word it exactly, but I didn't really care so much. It's just like a funny story now looking back, but I was just
And it definitely paid off. Right?
yeah, I don't regret it by any means, but
Yeah.
that's just how things panned out.
All right. Okay. Now, you mentioned you were working, going to school. Where were you going to school at the time?
So
Crowder College.
Was it Crowder?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Or
got
MSU.
it might have been MSU. So I went to Crowder for 2 years, got my associate's degree, and then went on to MSU. And I think, yeah, it probably would have been Crowder when we started because it was 2017 when we opened. And I think I was 19 or 20 when we opened the first store in Monette. 19. And then from there, I went on to MSU and I was studying entrepreneurship, but the goal the whole time was to become successful enough to where I could drop out. And so about a year or so after we opened the Monette store, we opened one in Carthage, and it worked out well because that's where Brian was from and everything. And then luckily, that's kind of when I decided to drop out. And then it softened the blow because my parents were pretty upset that I was dropping out because they thought that, they really wanted me to get that degree and everything. But it did soften the blow to where it wasn't such a big deal. And then from there, we bought another store called iProtect. Like, we bought this one, and it was in Joplin. And the kind of cool thing, and I think this is also a God thing, is I went to like 4 or 5 banks before I got a yes, because I got rejected after rejection after rejection. And luckily, I went to this last bank. It was People's Bank of Seneca, and they believed in us, and they said yes. And I still have a great relationship with the banker and still use her today. And that was a really invaluable connection to have. But because I'm this young 20-something-year-old, 23-year-old, and no one wants to take a chance on you whenever you don't have, we didn't have much credit. Like, we had a house in our name, and I think our cars would pay it off. Yeah, we didn't
have a house yet.
We didn't? I thought we did.
Because we were 20.
Okay, I don't know.
We bought a house at 21.
Yeah, but when we were 23 is when we started the Joplin store.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Monette store. Yeah, we had a house by then.
So, banks don't want to take a whole lot of chances, but luckily this one did, and so that was pretty invaluable. And then from there, we were doing pretty well with the Joplin store, so we decided to close the Carthage one. It was doing well enough to pay an employee and put a little bit of money in our pocket, but with the headache of like managing employees and everything, it wasn't making enough money that really made sense to keep it open. So we decided to close that one, and then we just had the 2 for a little bit, and then I think 2 years, it was either last year or 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. In 2022, we decided to open 2 more stores. We tried Miami, Oklahoma first, where we just did like a trial run for 3 months, and it didn't do very well. We get a lot of people that would come in and say, hey, how much is it to fix my phone? And we'd be like, it's $100. And they'd be like, okay, it'll be like 3 or 4 weeks until I'll have the money to have the $100 extra to get my phone fixed. It's like, oh, wow. So we just kept getting customer after customer that would say that. So I think it's kind of a lower income area. So we decided to close that location. And since we had all the parts and everything, we found a location in Webb City. And the guy also agreed to let us do like a 3-month trial. And so we tried that. And what we discovered there is we basically were getting the same customers from the Joplin location because it was too close to the Joplin location. We just get the same customers. So we didn't really increase our revenue. We just kind of stayed the same. So we had more overhead. So we decided to close that one. And for now, like all we have today is just the Monette and Joplin store. I don't really know if I want to pursue more phone stores, but what I'm really passionate about is real estate. So I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2020 or no, it was 2018. 2018, I think we bought our first rental, and then we ended up renting it to one of our first employees. He rented it for like a year or so, and then afterwards it was 2 years later, and we decided to sell it. We made like a $20,000 or $25,000 profit, and then we took that money and reinvested it into more real estate. And around that time, we met a partner, And so we partnered with this guy, and for 2.5 years, we did a bunch of flips together, and then we did some contracting as well. So we were like the general contractors over projects for other people. And so that was a really great experience because we learned so much stuff. Like there was flips that we only made like $3,000 or $4,000 and thought we were going to make like 20 or 30. But we learned so many things along the way that it was well worth, like even, you know, I tell people today, like if you lose $10,000 on your first flip, but you complete one all the way through and get it sold, like it's worth it, because how much knowledge you have from doing that to where your next one, you're going to set yourself up for success, and you're going to be able to make a lot more money because you completed it. Because a lot of people come to us and say, hey, I want to get into real estate, and then they never really take enough action to go out and take the risk and make it happen. So if you do, then you're pretty much part of the, you know, the minority.
Okay. What would you say was behind your interest in real estate as opposed to going to something like, say, computer repair or something like that?
So I think Haley really kind of piqued our interest. I remember originally she went to school to be, was it a dental hygienist or a nurse? A nurse. And she thought, you know, she's going to be a nurse. And then on weekends and stuff, we'd buy a house and fix it up together.
As a hobby.
Yeah, as like a hobby. And she didn't think there was a whole lot of money in it, so she wasn't like that excited about it.
Yeah.
And then we started doing it and realized how much money is in real estate. And we're like, dang, like this is like a game changer.
Yeah. I didn't have to do it for fun anymore. I could actually do it like as a career. So then eventually I could set it up so that way our kids could, like, whenever we had kids and everything, that I could stay home with them, or I could like take them wherever we wanted to go or travel with them, and money wouldn't really be that much of an issue. So, and then it would just be like fun. So
that was kind of her goal, is to get to the point where we could kind of go on like travel and then have like passive income from our real estate portfolio and stuff. So we were able to kind of start achieving that with the phone stores. That kind of created passive income for us. So then we could go out and start investing more in real estate. And now the real estate is becoming more passive for us, to where we hire contractors to do all the work for us. And then we go to the property every once in a while to check on the progress and all that. So today we do flips. We have 4 houses total. 2 of them are almost done, and then 2 of them are on the market, and 1 of them actually is pending. We got it under contract. And then we want to continue to buy apartments and hold them. So right now we're at 19 apartments with 2 different properties total. And we want to grow that to eventually get thousands of apartments.
Okay. Now, are you talking 19 apartment complexes or 19
just 19 units total?
19 units.
So 2 different complexes and they're, you know, a 10 unit and a 9 unit.
Okay. How do you manage to keep up with these properties while also running your iPhone store?
So right now it's getting to where it's a little bit more hectic. So we recently just hired someone to help us with the property management. But right now, me and Haley have been doing the majority of it, and it's not too bad. We're big into creating something that we work really hard on in the beginning, and then we pass it on to employees that help manage and run things for us. So we're kind of getting to that point to where we can start hiring. Like we already hired someone. She started last week, so I'm really excited about her working with us, and I think she's going to do a really great job. I'm really excited about that.
Very good. Very good. What makes it worth it to you to go to all this extra effort to basically to go in real estate, to get these houses, and to just then turn around and flip them?
So for me, it's like all about my goals. So like I have really big goals, and I know I have to do a lot in order to achieve them. So I think that's really what it is for me, is like I know where I want to be, so I know these are the steps I have to take to get to where I want to be. What would you say for you, honey?
I would say for me, it's probably about like time freedom. So that way, if we wanted to go work or something, we could. And then if we didn't want to go work, we didn't really have to. We would still be making the same amount of money, whether we worked 100 hours a week versus if we worked 0, it would still be the same. Or if we're on vacation, like we're still getting paid versus like we're not tied down to a job, and we can still like take care of our family or spend time with our kids, and I don't know, just makes it a lot easier. So that way we get to control our life instead of having like working for someone and then they can tell us like how many vacations we could take and how much money we can make and what our max is. And it just makes it easier because there's no cap.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say early on, it was hard to get Haley on board with that because I told her, like, we're going to have this crazy life. I'm really into cars, so I wanted, like, Lamborghinis and stuff. And she always was like, that's really unrealistic. You should set realistic goals and blah, 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 blah. And we're on a path to where in the next couple of years, we can probably buy one.
I also still think it's unrealistic. Not unrealistic, but it's
unreasonable.
Impractical. Yeah.
But that's like, this is the life that I worked hard for to try to build. And so I try to live my life by design rather than by, like, I don't know how to say it, but like, I want to create the life that I want for myself.
Yeah. It's all about give and take at this point.
Yeah. But also there's a side of me that I want to start a charity called probably the Kurima Foundation, to where we help with like human trafficking and stuff like that. I'm really passionate about that. I'm involved pretty heavily with our church, and I want to help us to grow our church. But eventually I want to be able to give millions of dollars to like these charities and things, and be able to really make an impact on the world.
Very good. Yeah. Haley, was there ever a time when you thought you wanted to say to Jason, hey, we should stop and think about this, are you sure we should do this, that sort of thing?
Here, you take away.
Okay, so we started the Everything Shop. It was and it's actually originally what we bought the building for here. So it was a liquidation company to where we'd go out and buy semi-truckloads of merchandise from like Amazon, Lowe's, Home Depot, like these big box stores, and then we'd sell everything at a discounted rate. So it'd be like 40% of whatever the retail price was for. But that was quite a project. So our systems weren't very good. What we would do is we'd print out a picture of every single item and then put it on there, cross out their price, put our new price at 40% or whatever, and do it for every single product. And there was hundreds of products. So we'd be like that store, we would be working until like midnight all the time, just trying to get more product out. And it was fun because it was like an exciting
Christmas
thing.
Every day.
Yeah, Haley loved getting the Target loads because she's like, oh, it's Target and whatnot. But it was just not the right business for us.
It was too time consuming for us, and we like to set our businesses up more passively.
Like where we work hard in the beginning and then we kind of pass it on. So.
And that one I just don't think we were very passionate about. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, have I ever been like scared with how much like risk he takes, I think is what you were getting at. No, I've never been one like attached to money. So then if we ever feel like our goals are like if I feel like we're chasing money and it's not fun for me anymore, then I feel like we should just like back out or anything, because to me it's all about like fun and stuff. But I mean, if we go homeless or something, I joke and I say it would probably be fine. Like, you just give me a tent and camp out by the creek or something, like I'll be happy as can be.
Like, but, just create like,
I don't really care about like the materialistic stuff.
Like, like you talk about like if we did go homeless and like having a tent by the creek and whatnot and making it fun for our kids and all that stuff, which, we have people we could probably worst case fall back on.
But as far as like taking risks and stuff, to me it's just more like it's more fun. And I feel like that's like my life purpose, I guess. So taking the risks and stuff doesn't bother me or affect me much, really.
You're very adventurous, so.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, I mean, for people who are considering going into business for themselves, what type of skills do you think you should have before you go into it? I mean, beyond maybe say the technical skills for the trade you plan to pursue, but I mean, are things like such as accounting, communications, technology? What would you?
Why are you laughing?
It's just funny because I probably shouldn't say this on air or anything, but he's Asian, so he should be good at math, and he's probably the only Asian that is not good at math.
Yeah, you mentioned accounting, and that's definitely not my strong suit. But what I would say is like, just focus on what you're good at. So if you, I don't know what it would be per se for like everyone's different. But I think if someone really wants to chase after like a goal or dream or start this business, they really should go after it. They should also get mentors and people around them that can help them make the right decision on whether or not it's a smart move. Like, for instance, like the everything shop. Me and Haley, honestly, before we purchased the building, we almost backed it out. We called our banker up and we're like, hey, we are kind of worried about the numbers. We don't think this is actually going to be that successful as we originally anticipated. Can we back out? She's like, you can, but you're going to lose $7,000. And so we're like, so we contemplated. I remember this was years ago, but we contemplated back and forth for a long time, for hours, just like, well, what if we do this? We prayed about it and everything. And so we decided to take the leap and go after it, even though we didn't think it'd be that successful. Profitable. And I'm so glad we did, because we ended up with the building. Now we have like our podcast room in there, like our studio. We have my real estate office. We have iPhone restorations in here. We have the event center, and then we have our warehouse, and like, which worked out perfect for the real estate. So we have a use for every part of the building. It's a 4,200 square foot building. So I'm really glad that it worked out the way it did. But to more answer your question, I would just say, like, you know, people obviously they need the skill of whatever they're going to be doing, but they have to believe in themselves, because if they don't believe in themselves, they're not going to take the appropriate action necessary to hit whatever their target is. And also, I want to tell people that you can't hit a target you can't see. You have to have a goal in mind to hit it. Otherwise, you can't just live life like randomly, and because you're never going to hit your targets. So like one of the things I did early on, and occasionally I'll get in sprees where I do it like all the time, but I would write out my goals every day. Like, by age this, I want to hit this. By age, 30, by age 35, by age 40, by age 50, by age 60, and so on. And what I want to accomplish by then. And I don't always accomplish every single one of my goals, but I'm a lot closer to where I want to be compared to if I didn't have those goals set.
And then to go off of that a little bit, Jason says it more eloquently than I do, but you want to project your life or project yourself to age 65 and then look back
80.
And whatever. And
So you want to project yourself to age 80. Jeff Bezos said this. You want to project yourself to age 80, and you want to reflect back on your life, and you want to minimize the amount of regrets you would have had over the course of your life. And I just think about that a lot. It's like, so if there's a situation like, for instance, the everything shop, we literally contemplated it just like this. Like, we're 80, we're looking back. Would we regret not taking the risk and trying this business? Because we were really intrigued by it. And we're like, yeah, we probably would. At least we know now, like, do I ever want to start the everything shop again? No, I don't. But I'm glad I did it, because now I know, like, I always would have wondered and been curious, like, so. Okay. That was a really good point.
So they're all learning lessons.
All right. Now, most small businesses go under within 5 years. What do you think has set yours apart? What has kept yours going?
I think one of the things that helps is we built a business of integrity, and then we emphasize customer service because we want people to have a good experience and come back to us. So I think that's part of it. We're well known in the community, and then I don't know. I think a lot of it goes back to the customer service, like how you take care of your customers, because then you create repeat customers that'll always come back to you.
Okay. Christian values.
And then, as well as our Christian values. So, like, on all my stores, I have an open Bible, and then a lot of times we'll play, like, Christian music, at least in Monet's store we do. And then if you put God at the center of something, God will bless it. Like, not every time, like, businesses fail that are Christian businesses and everything, but I feel like you have much better odds if you put your faith in God and you really trust in Him and pray about whatever you're going to do. That's my personal belief.
If someone wants to go into business for themselves, what type of mindset do you think they need to have?
Ooh, that's a really great question. So, like, kind of goes back to believing in themselves. They have to believe in themselves, but they also have to have the mindset of, like, okay, I'm going to be self-motivated enough to get myself to do the things that are uncomfortable that I don't want to do. Because a lot of people procrastinate and they don't do anything at all. So they have to have that. They have to have something in their mind that's always on them about, hey, you have to get this done. You have to accomplish this in order to make this happen. Like, because it's not just like one little thing that makes a person successful. There's all these other things. And I say that it's the habits, their little daily habits and decisions that they make every day are what determines if someone's successful. So go ahead.
I would just, to add to that, I would say like you always have to get out of your comfort zone and do all the things like you don't want to do all the time. And so it's a lot of uncomfortability. There's never like comfort in like the unknown until by the time like then you know, like not you made it, but it's more comfortable whenever
you do start becoming successful. But
Yeah.
like in the beginning, most people don't start out with much. Like we started with $800 and then later Haley invested another $2,000. But like most of the time, like it sucks. Like there's a struggle where you don't, your cash flow is really low. You're just barely making ends meet, and you want so badly to succeed, but you're on, you're living paycheck to paycheck, and it's just like a big struggle. And so once you get out of that and kind of, you get to where you're more abundant and you can do more and take more risks and stuff, it just kind of builds on. It's like a snowball. So like you start with a little tiny snowball and then you roll up into this big deal. And it's just like those little steps along the way of getting there.
now you're starting to sound like Dave Ramsey.
What?
Snowball.
I'm a big Robert Kiyosaki guy,
Yeah.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So,
Yes.
I think Dave Ramsey has really good principles, and I like that he's biblical based, but I'm very like,
We
Kinda
do everything
anti-
the opposite
yeah, I
of what he says.
take a lot more risks than Dave Ramsey would.
Well, speaking of Robert Kiyosaki, I've read his books also, and
Okay.
I remember him mentioning one time he stated that he was doing a bank foreclosures. He found a house foreclosed that he could purchase from the bank for $10,000, and so he purchased it. He has it evaluated. It's valued at $70,000. So he puts an ad in the paper, says this house is valued at $70,000, but I'll sell it for $60,000. He gets a buyer, takes the money, pays off the bank, and he says he has $50,000 in his pocket. From your perspective, as in real estate, do you think that this is realistic? That this is something that could actually happen?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, we do it all the
We've
time.
done that. Like, we had one that was $15,000, and we made I think an $82,000 profit. So like, it's definitely reasonable and possible today.
Yeah, we had one house that we didn't even touch. Like we bought it for what was it?
We bought it for
The Victorian house.
45,000, and then all we did is put it on the market for, I think we listed it for 100,000, and then there was a bidding war that same day, and it went under contract the same day after a bidding war for like 105 or 107,000. We didn't touch the property at all, and I'm glad that we didn't, because like we were contemplating that one for a while. It would have taken almost $200,000 in renovations to get it to where it was like in its prime, and instead we just put it on the market and made
we
50
also would have
grand.
made a $50,000 profit had we had put 200,000 into it and everything. Versus what we did, we just bought it for.
Yeah, didn't do
I
any
don't
work
remember how much we
to
bought
it,
it.
just put it on the market, and that was.
It made a $50,000 profit, like right.
And
then
I
there,
think, I mean,
basically.
I'm
So
telling
there's
you, it's not
lots of
just us. Like, it's a
opportunities.
God thing too. Like, I think God has to be behind it, and God blessed it. So.
Well, now, we've mentioned bank foreclosures. Where else do you get the properties that you purchase?
So we do a lot of off-market deals. So we'll find someone that has a house that's in distress, and we'll contact them. Like, there's apps like Deal Machine and other apps that helps you figure out who the owner is, and then call them. A lot of times the information's wrong. Like you'll probably run into some of them that won't give the right address or the right phone number. But you will just constantly trying to find new property that we can buy. And then we also have wholesalers that'll send us deals. And I feel what really helped me was once I started posting on social media like Facebook and stuff, that I'm constantly looking for, apartments and houses and stuff. People started just sending them to me. And then we also pay referral fees. Like if we close on a property, on a lot of them, we'll give them $500 if they send us a deal that we close on.
Okay. Well, now, can just anybody go to the bank and say, hey, I want to buy a foreclosure, or is it more complicated than that?
So we actually haven't really bought, I don't know if we've bought any foreclosures to
I
date.
haven't, but my parents have, and they've had really good luck with it too. But
Yeah.
it's something that I do eventually want to get into. I don't know much about it, right? Like as we speak
Because
right now.
it seems
But
like every time we go to banks asking like, hey, is there any foreclosures that your banks has that they want to offload or whatever? And like every time we've asked, they said, no, we don't have anything right now.
But I also know you can go to the what's the courthouse? No, Cassville. Yeah, the courthouse or something. The
tax sales.
Yeah, tax sales and stuff, and they sell like land and houses like super cheap. So,
Yeah.
and I think they have them either once a year or.
Yeah, once a year,
But
and
I think you
there
can
are
also go all the time.
there is some stipulations to it. Like I think they can buy back the house or the land within the first year, or maybe it's 2 years, something like that.
But most of the time they don't.
But we haven't really dabbled in that. Mainly just getting those off-market deals, and we've bought some things off the MLS, but our profit margins weren't nearly as good as getting them off-market.
Yeah. Like their wholesalers mainly is who we use.
Yeah.
And you can just find them on like Facebook groups and stuff. Like just search it.
Well, now what do you see as the future of Kurima Enterprises?
So what I see, one of my big goals is, like I said, thousands of apartments, and I won't tell how many thousands because, you know, some people might think it's ridiculous and whatever. But anyways, like, so that's one of the things I want to accomplish. And then I think it would be really cool, and I might not do it, but I think it'd be really cool to build a skyscraper, at least one of them. And then me and Haley, or at least I am really also passionate about aviation. So I want to buy some jets and then have other people buy into them to where basically I own the asset and people pay off the asset just like a rental would be. And then I maintain the plane, but I can use it just like the other people that are paying in could use it. And then they pay for fuel and they pay for the pilot or whatever. And so I want to do that because that's kind of like the real estate way of doing aviation if you think about it as a rental. But also I have a goal of owning my own private jet, like just for us and using it whenever we want. I think that would be really awesome. We also have an idea for like, I feel like there's a market, and it's not nearly as big as Uber's market, but we want to create like the Uber of jet travel. So like it's called like empty legs. There might be a jet traveling from here to here, and it's an empty plane other than the pilot's got to fly the plane back to wherever it's going. So for $2,000, you can have a $26,000 experience for like $2,000, where if you chartered that jet, it would have cost like $26,000. So maybe if we could figure out a way to capitalize that and then create the platform of an app and to where it's marketed well enough that like it becomes like the authority in that space, like almost like the monopoly of the space, then I think that could be really cool. And I know there's companies out there that do it, but I don't know of any that are like just known as like this is like the Uber of it. So.
Well, you mentioned you left school to focus on business. Do you ever think that you might go back and finish your degree?
No, I don't think there's a chance. I like it when I think it's. I just really. I don't think that school was really for me. Like as you can probably tell, my ADHD is really bad, and so getting me to focus and sit down on things that I don't always like really like doing. Yeah, it's just difficult because like accounting, that was a really big struggle for me. So now I'm hiring out like my bookkeeping and stuff like that. And I just find the people like on the things that I suck at, I just try to hire that out.
Yeah, we don't try to master it.
Right. Well, looking back, any regrets?
I really don't think we have any regrets.
So. I feel like it's all made us like get closer to our actual dreams, because then we just realize like it's helped us narrow down like our main focus. So I think that's why we're in real estate and not in businesses. We've decided like businesses aren't really our thing necessarily. Well, I don't know how to explain
like
that.
For us, like one of the things that I realized through some of our mentors is like you can make millions of dollars a year and then not hardly have to pay any tax because you have the depreciation and bonus depreciation and everything else. And it's crazy it's just crazy. Like, you know, you would think like, okay, $1 million, for example, $1 million, you have to pay like $400,000 or $500,000 in tax, almost 50% of that in tax if you had like a W-2 or whatever. But if you have like your bonus depreciation and everything, you can write it off to where you almost owe nothing. So I think that's a game changer. Like, and like, you know, in Kiyosaki's book, he says that the rich don't pay tax, and that's really true. That's what the rich do. And so learning we didn't start out rich or anything. We started out really, really poor. And so, but learning that and applying that and constantly trying to learn new things has really helped us become who we are.
All right. So, well, that was all my questions. Do you have any final thoughts?
So I just want to encourage everyone to believe in themselves, because you have to believe in yourselves and build confidence in yourself to go out and do the things that you want in life. I want everyone to chase their dreams, because not enough people do. And I feel like the world isn't as good as it could be had people chased their dreams and gone after it and taken the risks. And I really want to encourage everyone to set their goals and to go after it.
Jason, Haley, thank you both very much.
Yeah, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thank you.